right, we officially start the meeting at 4:35. I mean, yes, 4:35. And we already approved the minutes from last meeting, so that's all set. So I'm just gonna turn over the
Floor.
to you, since you have brought us a new, many things, a new cost
Yes.
estimate, a new design,
Yep.
so it's all yours.
So in terms of, I'll start with the design piece first because that's maybe a little bit simpler. So in terms of what you see here, the main change from what you've seen before is the civil plan. This reorients the primary entry towards the north end of the building and reworking the parking at that lower lot,
So you guys have copies of this in your paper?
providing a drive then and a drop-off point at that current front entry point. So this just reduces your overall paving as well as significantly reduces the amount of grading that needs to be done related to the site,
Is that what this says right here, these general notes that I can't read?
in part.
Oh, okay.
It also talks about.
It goes through the detail. So, the other piece that is folded into both of these sets is looking at the pump house as not being its own independent building, but instead moving it to an addition off the side of the north wing
Right.
and reducing the bathrooms on the end of the north wing and putting in single-user bathrooms at that end. Otherwise, what you see in terms of the actual floor plan more or less reflects what we've already discussed in terms of the BE version of option C, which pulled out essentially any extraneous interior partitions, and reduced windows was the biggest two things from that option. The other piece that we then instructed the estimator to do to build into this related to just peeling out a few items as ad alternates so that we could see what those costs would be. One of which is the transaction counters at the entrance to each of your town departments, which actually is a fairly, in the scheme of things, a fairly small number. That's the 23,000. We also have included in here replacement of the boilers. The boilers you have, the initial assumption was that we would continue to use what you have, that they do have some life still on them, but figured we should look at pricing for them because they are existing. And part of this as well is in terms of having a further discussion of the approach we take to heating and cooling for the building, whether we continue down the path we do now, or do we potentially, instead of doing BRF, do we start looking towards keeping closer to what the current system in the building is right now, which is steam, and losing the air conditioning, or that's potentially a discussion to be had, for which knowing and understanding the cost of the boilers would be important. Then the last piece in here, the 246,000 is the cost for that additional underground storage tank requested by the fire department. Pulling that out as another alternate. Before we dive into any kind of detail in terms of the estimate itself, one item I can say from review with the team over the last day, on the site civil, we're going to verify some of the numbers because we think we want to verify the assumptions and then also the quantities, because we're thinking some of the numbers in terms of marking, curbing, stairs and ramps, as well as how they're estimating stormwater appear to be high. I do know from the MEP side of things, some of the elements that we had cut and told them to cut didn't make it into or out of the estimate rather. So there's approximately $200,000 worth of cut that should be built in here as is, without changing quote unquote from what was in the BE to option C. So that helps our starting point, I But as you can tell, and this is partly also where I'd like Neil to weigh in too, in terms of where the final number wants to be. I know the number we've been talking about targeting is a roughly $4 million construction cost. So that being said, we still need to look at how can we peel away. When I was doing some calculations in terms of scope costs, so not including any of the contingency or the bond or the general conditions, the things that are added on top of actual cost, we need to remove roughly about $1 million from that top line item of 4.6. If you're following me.
Well, yeah, because all construction is 5.8, and then
Right.
we have your fees.
Right.
And
5.8 is roughly where our construction plus all the soft costs want to be, right?
Yes, that was the max.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And we are
So-
at, okay, so your design work and everything's in here.
No, this design contingency, that's one of the things to think about is as we do further design and then the last estimate on this percentage is gonna go down. Because right now, this 10% is held by the estimator to account for changes in the design as well as uncertainty factors. In an ideal world, what ends up happening is this zeroes out essentially with the last estimate,
Okay.
and the rest of the estimate doesn't go up, but usually what ends up happening is they somewhat level out between themselves
Okay.
based on the development and the further detail in the design. So, any questions on any of that so far?
So I missed the first part. Did you say you're taking away from the transaction counters? Is that what you said in the beginning?
Right now,
Not
we
there.
have
Not
it
there?
As a-
held as a separate number, so that's
Okay.
the 23,000 that's held separately. So if it goes back in, then we've gotta pull that much more out to compensate.
Okay.
So I have some things that we've quickly thrown together that we can talk through in terms of ways and additional strategies to try to cut further.
But before we do that, is
Yep.
everybody okay with the site plan changes? And quickly went through it first, much less paving, and,
Yeah.
and that's because we moved the door, the
Yes.
entryway. And I don't understand how to read this, but.
This dark shadow gray.
Yeah,
over here is
essentially your
basically the new
shadowed
paving.
portion is the
Oh,
new
no.
paving, so it's limited
That's
to.
our
Yeah,
gray
that's
area
right,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So hang on, are we not using the door at all by the kitchen? Like where, you know how
We
the main door?
are, in
You
this, from the standpoint of, you are required to have 2 means of egress.
Yep.
Based on your size and number of people. Once you are required to have 2 means of egress, both of those are required to be accessible. You only need, which is weird the way it's written, because you only need one accessible entry, but when you're required to have multiple means of egress, those need to be accessible as well. So that being said, we are putting in a sidewalk that will get you up to that level, to that entry, in place of the original scheme actually lifted that whole drive and put additional parking up at that level. But if you remember, that whole thing slopes off, which was a whole lot more grading than just dealing with that northern lot. So both of them will be accessible,
Yep,
and we have a drop off that we're going to put at the upper, which that will allow someone to potentially park there if they need to, or at least have someone drop them off and then they can pull down to the lower lot. And then
And they
the
can walk in the
primary,
store?
yes,
and it's gonna be handicap accessible
Yes.
and steps, both.
just handy, it's essentially sidewalk, you'll come up, that sidewalk will meet the level of the porch,
Okay,
so no steps.
okay.
So they can come in either direction.
Yes, but the primary entrance point,
Is the
and
far
any
end.
of your signage
Just the far one.
will be directed towards this one.
Okay.
Yeah, the far one. Which that'll be a question in the long run of what kind of signage or anything like that do we end up doing
All right.
to direct people there.
Any questions before we go on to the option C with less windows
Yep.
and no extraneous partitions and single-use bathrooms?
So this layout reflects what's in the estimate, which we know now that that estimate is still over where we need to fall. So working today, Sean and I put together some tactics. I've also quizzed the team in terms of areas where the numbers can be tweaked.
How much are we over? Oh, 6 million? I mean, 600,000?
We're over, we need this number down. So the issue is, the reality is all of these numbers below the 4.6 you see below the first line
Yeah.
are all based off of that first 4.6 million number. Because they're all percentage based
Oh.
off of that number. So I did a quick Excel calculation spreadsheet earlier today. In order for us to get that bottom line number down to about 4 million, we need to somehow remove from the upper portion here, we need to remove somewhere in the vicinity of 1.2.
So you're talking remove the 1 million from renovations, pump housing, site work, hazardous area?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So that's where
How
it
much of
needs
this
to
site
come
work
down.
in the town's DPW do?
1 million, right? You said to get rid of 1 million?
Yeah, somewhere between 1 and 1.2, I would say, at minimum. That's a question for you guys, in terms of how does that work, what does that look like, what is there?
I guess we'd have to show him the plans and
Capacity.
possibly have him come in.
Let's see if-
For a meeting.
Because I know we've talked about that possibility in the past.
Yeah. He also was talking about stormwater runoff and things like that, and that was one of the areas that he was talking about upgrading with some of the funds he has. So I don't know how that all ties in together, what kind of number we're looking at.
Because I know, based on the commentary from Guntlow, the civil engineer, that they're gonna be looking at the site numbers, they already are, and they've pinpointed a couple areas that they feel are already too high in terms of the length of curving and things of that nature. It's not gonna be a huge number, but they're likely gonna be able to trim in and of itself, back from that point. And then one of the bigger potential ways to skinny the site number is, they were saying that in place of doing a full asphalt replacement in these areas that we're reworking, do you instead do a shim and overlay? Which, granted, that would be a question ultimately of, is this something that's done by the DPW or not, and how does that get worked out?
He'd have to sum it up. He'd still have to sum it up. You can't resurface.
Yeah,
I
so.
don't want to speak, I shouldn't be speaking for him.
Right,
I'm
well,
making
and
that assumption.
resurfacing, just to have all cards on the table, as you probably know if you've dealt with it, whether in the town, seen it done, or with your own driveways, it doesn't last as long. So it only is really saving you the upfront cost. So let's start with the two kind of big ticket items that we've mentioned a couple of these 4. One, let's see how I was organized. Okay, here we go. So one item that we can pass this down and share, I think I've got a couple copies, that we can talk about is the existing ceilings in those classrooms are sloped. And originally, we had kept that in the design as one, a feature in the building, and 2, so you could maximize your window opening and natural light coming into the space. One option, because it will have a multitude of domino effects in terms of cost, is do we just flatten the whole ceiling out? Because
Why
what
not?
that
Yeah.
allows you to do is then we don't need to use the pendant light, any kind of pendant light fixture. We can go to a 2x2 light fixture, which there are attractive 2x2 lay-ins that are far cheaper than any kind of pendant you can get. In doing this, we have 2 options shown here. I'll tell you right now, the red option is going to be your cheaper option. The blue would preserve the height of the windows that you have, and you'd have the 3 horizontal bays of the window. But we found in our previous value engineering exercises that we've done earlier in the year that the infill of the wall is cheaper than the window. So another option would be remove the top bay of the window, just make your window shorter, and just do window infill up above and do the window below. This will still yield you a window head that's up at like 8 feet. So it's still a fairly sizable window, it's just not as large as those current windows are. Alternatively, what I've got shown on the blue is you'd put a soffit in so that you could raise the edge. Again, this would allow you to use the same sort of light fixture and then keep the taller windows at the edge.
Is there any benefit of keeping the taller windows?
Really, the primary one is daylighting. That's it.
Well, you're
And
going
views.
from,
Cuts it off.
you're going
Wouldn't that
from,
soffit cut off some of that
It's gonna cut off some
window
of it.
regardless? So
Yes,
might as well
because
just-
that's, and this is why I'm saying this is gonna be by far the more cost effective, because once you get into this, it's gonna cut off some of that light anyways. Very likely, you're gonna get into issues of how do we put our light fixtures in here? Do they cause issues? As well as do you end up needing an additional sprinkler head because of the offset?
Option B sounds like it's the answer.
It makes the most sense, you're gonna lose that, basically that
Anyways.
portion of it anyway.
Right.
And because of the gap for fire reasons, we
Mhm.
would have to put something here because of the travel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At least keep it a flat plane.
What are you thinking, Jim, you're thinking hard.
No, I agree with that. I'm not sure.
Alright.
do you know what that cost savings is?
We don't know yet. We just came up with this today. So, Sean and I spent most of the morning kind of figuring out how can we peel the onion further. Okay. So some other things which you can use the plans you have in front of you to kind of refer to in general. Generally speaking, every door we have in this building is on average $2,000. So that's one of the things we're looking at is where can we and how can we reduce total number of doors in terms of whether we can get away with, now that we're a smaller area, we not needing to subdivide the corridor as we had before, to pull out any extraneous doors that we don't really need for a code or a security or a departmental reason. Outside of the door subdividing the corridor, really the primary other one we can potentially remove is from the plan review in the building department. That had two doors, one for access from the front and one for the back. They really could have just one door, and the reality is that'll give them more usable space in that room in the first place.
I'm sorry, which office?
That's in plan review 153, if you can see it. Go down. There you go.
150, oh,
Should
there it
have-
is, yeah.
Yep, two doors. So we
Oh, I
can
see.
take out one of the two doors. They can still get into the space. Gives them a little bit more usable space. Reduces our overall number of doors. We were also looking at potentially, you know how we have that sort of existing alcove where there were exits from the two classrooms in the center? There's a question out there. We were looking at it back and forth, arguing in the office of, we're not planning on using money to remove the stairs, so should we just keep the doors there? They act as a secondary means of egress from those spaces, so we think logically it makes some sense to keep those doors in, but at the same time, you could pull them from scope and just infill the door opening, but then what are we doing with the stair, and is that a concern, having a stair leading to nowhere?
Where are you, Tim?
The doors.
So you see at the
Over by
center,
the kindergarten class.
center left,
Oh, gotcha.
those two doors,
Yep.
so,
In my head thinking, especially the meeting room, all that, if you
Yep.
use that as a public thing, my thought process, that is a good exit for if the occupied.
well, and that's essentially
But
where we
that's what I was
landed.
thinking.
Does it make sense here, potentially? It's not a huge amount of money, so it's more something that we bandied about a little bit internally of, if you had to. We do have some windows that we still had in the file storage room, which, is there any need whatsoever to have windows in the file storage?
No, I think
We
security
figured
purposes-
no.
Security purposes,
So
you better
those
have
would be
solid.
infill.
Yep.
So that was something we noted today. Yep,
There's just one window there.
yeah, there's
Oh,
one
there's
in the
one
file
here.
storage
It looks
above
like
it
in
below.
file storage, there's 3 doors. Am I right in that?
So you have one for access from the town clerk.
Mm-hmm.
Question would be, to your point, do we really need access between the town clerk storage and the general archive
I would
space?
say no. I would think the town clerk wouldn't even want
Right.
general
Access
access
between-
because town clerk is
They have their own.
up there
Right.
with police in
Are
terms
are we
of.
looking at 145A?
Yeah. and
Was
Yes.
it-
Door?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that potentially,
Yeah, I
also
don't even
makes
think
sense
that's,
as well.
because I think only the
That is
clerk
what we
should have
have.
access to
Yep.
their
Yeah.
storage.
yep,
I think that's a good idea too, just.
yep. Then, while we're, give me that, no, you didn't. So we had talked a little bit about this at the last meeting we had, is you technically can fulfill the needs of the occupancy that you're going to have in this north wing just with the bathrooms we have in the lower corner. One thought I had, we went back and forth on this internally, is the reality, as we all know, is you're going to spend less to do it now than if you do it later, but it's always a question of, can you do it at all in the first place? It's kind of where we are right now, is the two unisex bathrooms. One thought, in my mind, I can see a couple ways of dealing with that. One would be those bathrooms are an alternate, and we figure out where they go in terms of priority. And you can potentially prep the room or the space by putting a wall in, and it can be used as storage in the short term if you don't do it. But you don't need those bathrooms day one. Yeah.
So you're talking about the ones
The
down at the
two,
very
one
end,
forty-six and one
right across the
forty-seven.
main entrance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is right in front of the door.
Yeah, they're a great position for them to be.
So where would the alternate bathroom?
So you
Down
have
here's the
you have the
bathrooms.
group bathrooms.
Oh, okay,
Down, right.
oh, I see,
And
So you
because
can
we've
still do those.
changed the scope, we can, this is
this
enough.
way, okay, I
Yeah.
see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have to
So you-
spend the money on these single-use unisex ones right now.
You
And
don't.
we're trying to think forward, but if we don't have the money, we don't have the money. I mean, I guess it could be an
How much?
alternate, we could find out and add on.
So basically what you're saying, because the plumbing wouldn't be difficult anyway, because you need plumbing there, because the sprinkler room's there.
Well, and that's the thing, is that's where I struggle with that, is because, like I said, now's the time to do it if you're gonna do it.
Because the sprinkler, everything's
Because
already there.
it's gonna cost the least it will ever
Will
cost.
those be like family size bathrooms where people can change diapers and stuff
Yeah.
like that? I think they need to have it.
Well, is that more of our wheelchair accessible than the
They are
ones
currently wheelchair accessible, but that.
at
if
the other
you-
end?
Oh, the other end, they're also accessible.
Okay.
Both this and the single
Oh, now I
user
see it, okay,
are accessible.
okay.
But, yeah, I would say, let's find out how much they cost and determine if we still have to keep cutting, that'll be probably the last thing to cut.
Okay. That's that. We have currently, and it's more to match up with what you have at the entrances, so at the current main entrance and then at the north entrance, you have aluminum storefront systems or comparable. Currently, the two of them together right now, they're coming back as a cost of about $50,000. So
For what?
Yeah, the
for
doors.
aluminum
Those doors?
storefront
For the doors,
glass doors. So
Yeah.
one thought there is just go to a insulated hollow metal, painted. We can put a half glass vision panel in it. It's still gonna be far less than 50,000 to do that for the two.
And where's that gonna be?
So that's at your two
Those are the
entry.
main, those entrance doors.
So instead of having that glass up and down, you're just thinking more metal and just put an entryway, I mean,
Yeah.
a door, a window.
Window.
Yeah,
Well, I think
you,
that's easy, yep.
Yeah.
Next.
I mean, really, sounds good, yep.
I like the idea.
So you said insulated metal and you insert a,
yeah, we'll put a glass
Glass,
pane
yeah.
in it, so you'll still be able to see
Can what?
through.
I can't just do the whole front door.
You can.
I know you can't.
The existing one is non-compliant. In the bathrooms, it's not gonna be huge savings, so, I did talk with our interior designer in terms of the bathroom partitions. Right now, we're holding a phenolic panel, which is generally what we recommend, just because it will hold up better over time in terms of people trying to write on it, scratch it, so on and so forth. If you're looking for what is the most cost effective in terms of just starting cost, then a painted steel typically is your least cost. And that is roughly a 20% reduction, which based on the numbers I have right now would save us about 2,000. So we're picking, it's death by 1,000 cuts.
otherwise, what do you use?
Phenolic.
Oh,
Do you know what that is, Lynn?
It's
Yes.
like a resin plastic,
That way
essentially.
the acoustics are better in there.
That is very true.
Might be necessary.
As opposed to painted steel.
Which echoes.
In terms of finishes, one of the things that we'll do is they have cost per square foot in here. Granted, this is inclusive of labor, but we're gonna work with our interior designer to pick durable, obviously, pick finishes for you between the carpet and the VCT. But we can pick essentially, and we'll work with you and give you some samples and so on, but to get what's gonna be the most cost effective for us, cause that's gonna also have some bang for buck, just because we've got a lot of square footage we're covering with flooring, we've got 12,000 odd square feet. So that'll add up even if it's an incremental change, just by picking the right manufacturers to use in our specs. Okay. The last piece from an architectural standpoint that we had earmarked was to reopen, which I know we've talked about it a few times, the discussion on do we or don't we shift, so there are two versions of this. We can pass that down.
It's not the
They're
same?
slightly different, yeah.
Okay, so we'll put those two down there, and we'll put two here.
Revisit the shifting the TA out of the corner
They're slightly
discussion
different,
that we had
most
before.
between the two.
So the one that you see, which of course you both have it oriented in different ways, so we'll do this
All right.
to make it easier for me. So,
TA.
well, they actually have it, a name here, so SK 103 is a revised one from what we had before. This reorients it so then the TA ends up closest to our new entry point. That's the main thing, and then shuffles the rest of the spaces accordingly. From there,
So it puts it where the clerk used
Yep.
to be.
moves
So
the town
101.
clerk away. 101 was the original scheme that we had
No.
looked at.
I thought 103 was the original scheme,
Nope.
and 101.
No, 101 was the
Oh,
one
way
that
back
we
when.
looked at way back when
The first one,
in February.
yeah.
That's the date on
That's
this
right.
We're not
one.
doing
That's
this at
right.
all now?
Yep, that's the one we
Yeah.
looked at long time
And then we
ago.
moved it here for privacy.
Yep, we moved it there for privacy and kept it there for privacy.
Right.
Because this is where it started, and then we were looking at how can we save money. So part of the thought was, do we remove this
Right.
corner from scope?
And then when we looked at it back in, I don't know, it was March,
Yeah.
it wasn't a lot of
We
money,
looked-
but maybe it's
yeah.
enough money now.
Well, and just using, and granted, we'd have to get more definitive about it, but just using their cost per square foot number, and I even goosed it downwards, and do that square footage times, I think I used 250, we're looking at somewhere between 250, 300,000. Now granted, is that on the high side? Maybe, but it's still in the, potentially in at least the $150,000 range, if not higher. So it's potentially a large chunk of money.
All right, my brain is just not functioning at the moment.
So this was what we originally drafted.
Right, with the clerk here,
And
Yeah.
TA there, and basically what we're doing now is moving TA.
So moving the
Moving
TA
where
towards
clerk
the
is
entry,
and pushing
pushing down.
down. So can you explain to me the cost savings on that?
So the primary cost savings in doing something like this is not doing any renovation here. That's what's giving you your cost savings.
Okay.
Because we're reducing your overall area of renovation by this much, which I think I got the
was it
number
1,200
right.
square feet?
1,385.
I think we should do at all costs to try to keep the TA down the other end.
Yeah, I don't think the TA should be in this
Right by the front
corner.
door,
They have the most
exactly.
important job, and that's the most trafficked area, because more people will come in this.
Yeah, but then you,
Mhm.
okay, so then push them here.
Yeah.
At the end of the hallway.
Mhm. Yeah, so if the TA stays down here,
She's right here, by the way.
I No, she is.
Any input?
Yeah.
Well, do you have any,
I agree with you, because,
Do you have any thoughts?
Do you have any thoughts? Because I know that Chris was really big on privacy, and that's
Yeah.
why
Well-
we pushed him out here.
well, you definitely need
Mhm.
privacy, especially with confidential issues, so.
So having you near the break room would not be ideal.
Well,
No.
we can always
Nor
move
by the
break
front
room.
door.
Right, so this wouldn't work.
Right.
Yep. But we can always slide other things around. Do you, where the meeting rooms are across in 101, I assume you'd also want to try to push those away from you as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we could look at a hybridized version of this that essentially take that layout from the other side, move the vault down here.
The vault's
Here.
here.
We had moved the vault in that scheme down, move the vault down here across from you.
Instead of the meeting rooms,
Instead
put the
of the
meeting
meeting
So
rooms
put the
up
meeting
here.
rooms where
Up
the
there.
vault was.
Yeah.
So basically just flip flop them?
Yeah, mirror it almost
Well, so currently, the vault's here.
in that
in this
version.
one.
In
You
this
still would have to do
version.
something with that
So
break room
currently in
right
this
there.
version.
Yeah,
the
we'd have to
vault's
move
here.
the break room, move the vault across, and just kind of shuffle the rest of this through.
Could we?
May I?
Yes.
Before we get into shuffling
Yep.
this stuff around. This pump house, I still don't understand why we're putting up a building, even though it's an addition. The source comes in over here. We're removing, there's plenty of room in there to do what you need to do with, we're removing tanks, we're gonna be upgrading tanks. I don't understand why I'd like to know what the cost of that is.
Yeah.
If
They
if a
have,
renovation for this space over here
Yeah.
is 150, that's gotta be 3 times that.
they have the pump house in here, the addition itself, not including the actual building, at 60,000.
How can you put up a building, an addition for 60 and not be able to renovate this area for under 150?
I know part of the concern in why this is the approach we were taking, not only in terms of the addition, but even previously when we were in a separate building, was based on where the tanks were elevation-wise and designing towards a vertical turbine as opposed to a horizontal turbine. That was one of the major driving forces.
But the source comes in over here. The source is here.
Under the XTAs. Under the TTA.
Yeah, the water, yeah.
And yet we're trying to bring it back over here and put it up. This doesn't jive with me. And I doubt very much they're gonna put on this type of an addition for $60,000.
Yeah, let me verify what they've got.
You got a footings and.
Well, what I'm wondering is, did they carry that cost in terms of like the footings elsewhere? And not under that number?
I don't know, I just think
It was a page.
the source is right
here.
here.
Fire suppression.
Right.
Yeah.
Says though with foundations and slab.
Yeah, they are holding it. And like I said, we've only really been reviewing this for the past 24 hours, so
Yeah,
we haven't.
I'm not picking on you, I'm just.
I know, I
I'm
just
trying
wanna
to-
make sure you know that we haven't really been able to put in a ton of time on it yet, other than the initial reaction.
Where is the pump house even in here? I'm not seeing
It's
it.
behind the single person bathrooms.
Oh, she means
No,
number
she-
one.
No,
I
in,
meant in
in the
here.
numbers, yeah, they don't
Yeah.
appear to
On
have
the
a
first page, page two.
breakdown other than the front page, so I obviously need to have a call with the estimator to talk through their assumptions on it regardless, just cause I don't see a breakout.
And, you know, from my perspective too, if you're looking to cut costs, which we are,
The drainage storm?
we're talking about flooring.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put any flooring in at all. Rip up what's there, polish it, be done
Yep.
with it. You can always put something on the floor down the road.
Right. And that is something
We're-
that we've
Oh, you
been
mean
talking about.
you mean
Versus-
concrete?
Do a polished concrete.
Versus sacrificing doors. Something that you don't wanna spend, you know, 50,000 on crappy doors. Where just doing something like this, you can always go back and put carpeting or VCT on it later. When I say polishing it, I'm talking about Home Depot quality. For now, it's perfectly fine to do that. It's not that I'm agreeing that we should do that, but if you're gonna cut things that you can go back and redo later.
So you're saying they could cut carpet, cut the tile?
He's talking about the whole entire
You-
flooring throughout
Yeah,
the whole
all
entire thing.
flooring.
Right, which would literally
Including
just
what
keep us
what
with 12
what are you
properties.
specing for ceiling? Is it architectural grade
We haven't
recent?
finalized that, so we can obviously go in with, just get a good grid, but you can go in with a low-grade tile.
That's kind of what we're at.
Yeah, no, I could see and that's kind of where my mind is in terms of finishes. I like your path of let's gear towards get good quality for the things where it's likely gonna remain, i.e. the grid. And let's get a placeholder that you can upgrade.
On the floor, page 4.
I had page 7 for finishes, but
And the delta, how much of that delta, what do we have built in there for contingency?
I know Neil had like another 100,000 in there. Right now, they have a contingency of 450, which is healthy.
That's almost half our delta.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
and I know things come up, change orders and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. But rather than do things that we're gonna regret down the road, I'd rather go back to the town and say, we need another $500,000. And do something that's.
not gonna last.
What's that?
That's not gonna last.
Right.
That's, well, you know, there's a,
Right. I get it.
No, and I agree, and I even had that in the back of my mind, because I just wanted to come prepared to this meeting today to be able to show you, one, we're kind of close, but we're kind of far at the same time. And the reality of the matter is, you kind of have two choices, or three rather. You get a minimal amount of money additional, that's one, as Jim suggested. Another would be cut in terms of overall area that you're approaching and still produce the same general quality. Or you cut wholesale swath, little pieces here, there, and everywhere. Those are kind of the choices that you have in terms of approach.
I think we need to look hard at that pump house.
Yep.
The area here for the administrative offices for the town administrator, that should stay.
Mhm.
You like it down there?
And, you know, when you're looking at ceiling, I'm not saying we put, you know, lousy ceiling tiles.
No, and I'm not
But
either.
there's grades that go anywhere from $1 a square foot all the way up.
There
to-
are crazy ones,
Yeah.
which we've seen. So, and we're thinking we would do one that will give you acoustical performance. Because the reality is, especially if we go down the road of a polished concrete, you're gonna want, that's really what's gonna give you your bang for your buck in terms of sound, is the ceiling. So we're still gonna wanna do something that's fairly robust from a sound absorption standpoint. But we do this all the time, and we have tiles that we've used where they look fine. But they don't cost anywhere near the
And
fancy
you got a
ones.
decent grid, you can
Yeah.
pop them out later down the road. if you
Right.
need to. After,
Yeah, if you
you're gonna,
need
you're
a
gonna be
high
replacing them
performance.
over a period of time anyway.
Right.
So then, are we gonna keep the TA down in the second hallway?
I think so.
I think it's the best
I
place
think
to
so
me.
too.
Even though that could potentially, I
I
mean,
think Tammy should have some say where she's going to be. But I think it's just the nature of the game. If we put the TA down by the main entrance, every single person's going to stop.
Yep.
That's true.
It's just,
It's
Human
chaotic,
nature.
it'd be chaotic.
it would,
Yeah.
It would
Don't get
be.
anything done.
no.
Well, and even the other one, it reduces that issue in the current scheme of things because of having the north end be your main entrance,
Mhm.
but it's not necessarily future-proof. If and when you renovate that other side of the building.
well, plus you're taking away square footage from
Right.
somewhere else.
Right,
Right.
yeah,
I think we do everything we can to leave that there.
yeah,
And that, again, beat a dead horse here, back to that pump house. So the way it's set up now, we bring the water from where we're at down to the pump house. And
Well,
then
the-
All the way back.
and
yeah.
then all the
The-
way back
the-
again for any future.
Well, the water, as I understand it, and granted, I'm the layman talking about it, but I can verify this.
Well, we're the experts.
Yeah, well, I know, and the reality is if we need to have a subcommittee meeting with the engineer, we can, which may not be a bad idea once I get more clarity from them.
Sure.
But I do know that generally speaking, the water that you have, as I understand it, is going to fill and going out to your tanks, which are still across in the field essentially. They're going to that point, then those are feeding to this point at the end of the north building.
So,
I thought we were.
So
So
it's closer from that standpoint.
well, yeah, just because now that you mentioned that way, I was just trying to think what you're trying to think of as a water source. So if our water source is here, it's going out to these tanks now, and then
Right.
these tanks to here, we're still double tracking.
Yeah. And the tanks are located where they are based on trying to get some elevation to them, so that we don't have to do everything
But
based
they're in the
on,
ground.
they're,
They're vertical.
they're going to be in the ground, I guess is the way to put it, because we're gonna build up over them with dirt.
What? How much is put in a well?
You just put one in.
I did put one in, but I know what I paid.
Yeah,
But
the cost.
you understand where I'm going with this? I don't know
Yeah.
if you can grasp where I'm going with
Are you
this.
asking me to put a well in closer?
Yeah, to supply that.
Mhm.
No, you know what I'm trying to say? I just didn't know if that would
Because
be.
it's not a demand well, it's a supply well, it's not like it's.
Right.
Okay, that's just my question. I just didn't know if it would be cheaper
Right,
for
those
us
tanks will
to.
probably be filled and hopefully never used.
Ideally.
That's exactly.
Oh,
That's what
so
you
like
look for.
Munson Ridge.
Correct.
Okay,
They're like
okay.
a cistern tank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And then when
now I
that pump,
get
that
it.
diesel pump kicks on,
Okay.
that sucks from there, right?
right. Yeah.
Okay. I was just trying to, because I was picturing the tanks down, you know, when we were down there, and how it gets filled, because the
Yeah,
bladder.
that's for the water supply.
Right, and
That's
so
for the
in my
supply.
head, that's what I was trying to think of. If that was something like that, it would make more sense to put a well there to supply that. But that's just a holding tank. Now I get it, just like Munson Ridge. All right, I got it.
I was right there with you. I was like,
Because I was thinking if it had to keep trickling in and supplying it, I'm like, in my head, I was like, why don't we just put another well? Because a well is only, less than $20,000 for a well, depending how deep you have to go to supply that. But once it's full, it's just,
Yeah, it's more some
storage,
level of
just
maintenance, that's it.
storage.
But once it's full, for the most part, unless you use it.
all right, now I get it.
So, but to your point, can we still find a way to get that pump inside?
This pump here.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which I know part of the discussion was initially, which I can revisit with them, when we were looking at not needing those restrooms, that was my initial suggestion to them, knowing they wanted to be close to the tanks. Can we just put it in where the restrooms are?
Well, the pump is only gonna be loud when it's activated, and it's only activated when you have the sprinkler system.
Correct.
So it's not gonna be loud throughout the
No one cares.
building, so why doesn't it just go in the basement?
Right, because no one's gonna care if they're loud.
Well, that's my, it's only gonna be activated when the sprinkler system goes off to pump to make sure you have the pressure for the water to go through, is like, why don't we just put it in the basement? We've been in the basement, why can't it just go in there? Instead of creating this, and it'll be right next to your water source.
Yeah,
I think it's still gonna have to, we're still gonna need that.
Yes,
those-
but,
Yeah.
those
yes,
things
but
out
then we
there.
don't
We're
need
still gonna
this,
have
we don't need the
Right,
house.
exactly.
Mhm.
and it's just piping.
Right.
Yeah.
Piping's a lot cheaper than
Oh, absolutely.
a whole building. Well, you know what I mean?
I would assume that there's somewhat of a downward grade somewhere.
Yeah, the issue.
Well, definitely, if we
the-
put them in a cellar.
Well, the issue with going into the basement is you're definitely moving into a horizontal system. So that's gonna be the primary difference,
Yeah.
which I'll have to verify why that was that we moved away from it.
You're right, there was a reason.
There was a
I couldn't-
reason we
I
moved
couldn't
away
remember what it
from
was.
It was, I thought it was the ledge.
It had to do with elevation. I know that was a part of the question, so I just need to have them refresh my memory. And then I can refresh the group's memory why we did that, because otherwise, if we still have to do a vertical turbine, we're gonna want it in a position where you have clear access from the roof. Which, again, if I can get them to go inside that bathroom.
Even if my argument, you'd be still better off putting that inside the building
I agree,
and sliding everybody down.
I agree.
So
Yeah, I wanna find out and get as granular as I can, cause this isn't fully baked. This is just
Yeah, I
as
get
far
that.
along as I could get it to get to the estimator and get a price. So I wanna get some hard facts now of, if we say we have to put it inside the building in this corner, is it impossible? Or why is it a challenge? Let's have that discussion.
Then maybe we just put one unisex bathroom there.
Yeah.
If it's a room area thing, things that we should start
Family
up.
bathroom.
Yeah.
Right,
You
a
don't
family
need two.
unisex,
Yeah,
exactly.
you don't need two.
Right.
And then you
If it's
don't
a room
need to shift
issue, you know,
anybody.
Yeah.
area issue.
Yeah. So that'll be on our docket for our next team meeting.
So we don't really know yet how much savings all those changes potentially are yet.
No.
We still have a lot of cutting to do though. They're not close to $1 million.
No little tidbits, just like, we're just cutting little pieces off.
Well, this may be, between the windows
Right.
and the ceilings and,
Yeah, this is likely gonna be a good chunk of money.
Cutting out that third of the window.
Cutting out the third of the window, replacing that with infill, as well as reducing your light fixture costs, because there's $100,000 of light fixtures in here.
So instead of having that, we're just gonna have, yeah,
Yeah. So
let's see what that
you're still
cost
gonna
is.
have a decent amount of that money, it's not gonna disappear, but we can at least cut a proportion of it. Which we're in contact with our lighting rep to have that conversation and talk through what the fixture is. The fixture that we've shown there is one that we are actually using in bank headquarters building, and is, I think it's like $60 a unit, which for a 2x2 is not bad at all. And you can see it looks fairly nice.
Yep.
Simple, does the
guessing
job.
Yeah, no, not everything has to be as fancy as it is around here.
somebody in the middle of that table designed some of this stuff. Found some of this stuff.
So that's part of what we're doing, is gathering and reaching out to our material reps just to have those conversations of, let's rethink this. We want, knowing it's a town, we want something that's highly durable and going to last and require the least amount of maintenance.
And looks
They're
nice.
replaceable.
Yeah,
And I'm going back to the flooring, thinking about it, I kind of like the look of polished concrete. It's industrial looking, but
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I kinda like,
It's-
maybe don't put any ceiling tiles in and make it an industrial ceiling too.
I kind of like that,
But
but
that's
the
actually probably a lot of money.
acoustics would suck.
You then have
You're back
the
to-
issue
that
of
was
your
the lights,
back
right?
Yes.
dependent light fixtures.
Yeah.
But the acoustics would be
So-
horrible.
As far as the acoustics go, it's not gonna be any different than if you put VCP down.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not
Are you
worried
talking about
about
the flooring or
concrete
talking about
floor.
the ceiling?
Oh, the flooring.
Yeah.
Well,
And I
the
think
department's gonna
polished
get a few
concrete
scatter
would look
rugs if
pretty
that's what they
cool.
want, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Well, only because
Well, and
I
once
can
you
hear
put
meetings
furniture
and
and
I'm
you
over
have
there.
human
I
bodies
can hear
in,
meetings.
we absorb as much sound as just about anything else in a room.
We're not the
Speaking
only
of
ones
things,
who are
most,
alive.
more free furniture you can get us?
In
Um,
most cases.
none let me put it this way, none that I would suggest you want.
Okay.
We are doing more renovations, but that was the nice furniture.
Nice, well, always good to get some
Yeah.
free stuff.
Yeah. Let me think. Yeah, no, everything else is probably older than the stuff you already have. You don't want it,
Yeah,
let me put it that way.
I think, like you say, I think we gotta come back and see where we're at with these
Mhm.
cuts.
Yeah.
So, I was just trying to follow
And
on
hope the
on
bids come in
this.
lower too.
Yep.
So here is these yellow spot, is that where you're saying the town administrator is in?
So, yes.
Because I'm reading, it says administrative assistant, accounting,
Well, and essentially
Clerk.
the,
An admin office.
Oh, there it is.
the piece of those two plans
yeah,
that I may not have reminded you is everything squeezes and gets smaller, and essentially you're in open office cubicles at that point to make that plan work.
if we're trying to make this work, like you said, because we said we're to keep this, so this basically becomes here.
Right,
Yeah, which is
So
more,
this
Everything
can
gets
shift
bigger.
down and this can shift in.
yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's room to make some shifts.
Yes, okay. I was just trying, in my head, I'm like, well, where are they? What are we pulling away? And I was just trying to figure out, so if this comes in this way, and then this can come shift down, which brings us back to, Jim, what you saying,
Pump house
putting
in
the
the
pump
bathroom.
house in the bathroom.
Sucking it in.
I was just trying to figure out, and then
or not putting it there and putting it
in the basement.
Right.
Mhm.
And again, I think
Yeah.
one family bathroom's good.
I
Really, you
agree.
need them in general, one should be good.
because we have these bathrooms down here.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and I agree that if we can get one at the entry like that, it's the perfect location.
Mhm.
Right.
All right, any other questions, guys, on this stuff? 'Cause Tim has his work cut out for him.
Oh, yes.
Good.
We're on it.
Oh, the only thing I have, Tim?
Yeah.
You wanna change us to mass?
Oh, that happened last time too.
I was hoping maybe that wasn't our bill and
I know.
maybe if he brought the right one up, we'd be right in the ballpark, you know?
I can't tell you how many times I've corrected people.
Yeah,
I didn't catch it this
I
time,
didn't
so
either.
thank you.
I saw it too, I was gonna say something. Maybe there's a
I'm
million
glad
bucks
you
to
did,
switch
'cause I
that to
read it.
mass. or-
That's right.
I think Granby, Connecticut has a little bit more money than.
There you go.
so, moving on to old business, Tim, I have the, signed amendment.
Yep.
That I think you have
Amy,
to
do you
sign
know if they're
also.
done with payment?
So there's two copies.
Lynn,
Yes.
Sue, do you have the bill you were asking me about? Can I see it for a minute? The billing.
They're staring at me.
It's here, just give me a second.
No worries.
So all the stuff, all these decisions we're making, everything is, could also be changed if we end up getting any loans for certain, grants for certain areas too.
Well, that's the thing. Some
But
of
we
these
have to
change-
work as
some of
though
these
we don't have
changes- Some of these changes that if we could make them correctly and we find additional funding, it's
And there's
easy to
another
say,
one, too.
okay,
So that
add
one?
the flooring.
Yes, I paid, I did this,
On Friday?
yes.
So we're
Okay,
trying to
there's
get, remember
two
there
of
are
them.
bonuses
Yeah,
in 10,
1457 and this
yeah,
one, yep, I remember doing it.
Wonderful.
I did
Okay,
it.
so there's two that you did on
Go ahead and do
Friday.
what
Yep,
we-
I did.
You have to
Thank
Can I
you.
have
pay with
that
your
bill?
project.
Huh?
Can I have that?
She wants her
No.
paper
You want
back.
it? You can have
No,
it.
I don't really want it.
You can have it.
I have-
Let
I
me
have
put
it in
it
my,
this way, County
Kathy
hasn't
has it.
come to me to complain, where is it yet?
There you
So
go.
I'm
Like, I
good.
would like
Mine is
to
good,
copy.
So,
exactly.
yeah, so you, and so we are all up to, you're paid,
Okay.
as of Friday.
Like I was telling
think-
Kevin, county hasn't complained to me asking where the check is yet, so I'm good.
That's-
Oh, I thought you might. I'm just being nice.
So, and what you
Must
signed
tell us
this?
something
Not
else.
nearly as good as your brownies.
That's, I signed that to them, you don't need to worry about that.
Oh, okay. So you-
Because
okay.
now that I'm authorized, I can do my
When did you do that?
subcontract to him.
Oh, did you want me to have them?
Yes, I
Bring
want
us
you to have a
tomorrow.
whole one.
Yes, please.
And then dinner yet?
See?
This is dinner
No, no,
and
no.
lunch.
I'm still here for another 12 hours, so this is
A snack.
Breakfast.
snack.
So, before I adjourn the meeting, let's figure out, are we gonna meet next Tuesday? Do you think we need a subcommittee meeting before the whole group meets again?
It might make sense to do that, and we can talk about where we land on the pump. And then I can try to get Robert Hall into that meeting.
So then, for the whole committee, we probably won't meet again until 29th, is that okay with you guys?
Mhm.
Tuesday, July 29th?
4:30 again?
Sure.
I might not be here, I'm not sure though.
I'll do my best, I can make no promises.
You move it.
Seems to always happen on a Tuesday.
Oh.
Oh, Lord.
Maybe the dial, you call my phone on the way home or something too, you know.
So then.
29th at 4:30.
You got it, Jim.
Okay, now, we discussed the other day about, should we be holding these meetings here?
Oh, yeah, that's my next thing.
As opposed to.
Jim thought it was a good idea to start holding the meetings at West Street School.
I
So
like
when we
that
have an
idea.
issue, we can actually see it.
I like that
The
idea.
only issue with that is it'll be hot,
Yep.
but
So-
I'll bring the
It's
big,
not that bad.
Remember to bring the big fan?
We need to be more productive. Get in, get
the thing
out.
about that is if somebody wants to come from the public, it's not open to the public.
no.
Oh,
Yeah,
that'd
Jim.
be a problem.
Hey, no comments from the guests.
Oh, you
So-
didn't adjourn yet?
So I don't know, I mean,
If there's a real issue that we'd have to walk down,
You
go
can't
down
do
there,
it
we
if
could
you- if
always
it's
just.
not open to the public, you have to make it open to the public.
So why couldn't we
If we're in
meet in one room?
and make that open to
meet
the
in the
public.
cafeteria
I mean,
and then,
nobody's showing up anyway.
well,
As long as it's
No,
basic.
Company,
It's not
present
like,
company.
it's not like we got 50 people showing up.
However, I think
Right.
if we do move them to West Street, we will have.
Well,
more
I
yeah.
think more
Yeah.
people will be
Just
curious.
because they're
just to see-
curious and
yeah.
want
You're gonna have
Curious.
a liability.
Curiosity.
Sorry.
Liability,
It'll
Yeah.
wane
It's
early,
not-
but.
It's-
Yeah,
it's
the liability
issue.
alone.
that's a problem.
I'm sure Brian will say no.
I think he would say no too. We can check. But-
Doesn't hurt to check.
If you don't ask.
He's
the
gonna say
answer's
no,
always
I've asked.
Yeah, I think he's gonna say no too, because
I
the
asked last
liability
month, I asked the month before.
puts us at risk.
I know that
What's the
Gloria
risk?
wants to get in there.
If anyone ever hurts
you know, the-
himself, or,
Gloria.
Well, because, the seniors wanna see, they wanna understand, but that's not even a part of the issue anymore, because there's no senior center.
But still,
Well,
people trying to
um,
wander around the building, they can't be wandering around.
Well,
the
that's
building.
part of the, so,
I guess somebody needs to, I need someone to explain that risk part to me. We're already insuring the building. What are we insuring the building against?
the building is not currently being used.
say it's no occupancy.
So it is a no occupancy.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
That's right. As soon as we start doing all this renovation, I have to contact my insurance and let them know
That
this is
now it's
going
being
on.
occupied.
Yep.
I wasn't sure how we had the
We're
policy.
gonna get a
down.
trailer on site.
I mean, if our construction begins in October,
It won't
we
be
can
hot.
start no, we can't meet then, because now it's under
It's a
construction.
construction site. Well, granted, they should have, whether
It's
it's
hard
a
to-
portion of the building or they have a trailer, one or the other. And typically, we'll have to work through the front end piece in terms of what we want to require of them. But they'll typically have meeting space as part of their office arrangement. Now, whether it's in a trailer or we have them use a portion of the building, which is something we've done in the past, but that might end up
Well,
running afoul of
a
that issue.
subcommittee meeting doesn't necessarily have to be open to the public.
No.
Oh, it's not, because we don't have a quorum.
Yeah, as long as you don't have a quorm, you're
So-
So your
fine.
subcommittee can meet
Yeah,
there.
but we'll talk about that. when we're gonna meet for the engineers. So then our next meeting will be here at 4:30?
Yep, already booked.
Okay.
They're booked, every Tuesday's booked until eternity right now. Seriously, just that way we have it.
Yeah.
Room's
It's
ours.
easier to cancel than.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, great, so, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.